Hi and welcome to another 5-minute session, and this time about alpha, meaning see through the material without changing the geometry, just the texture. So what I've done right now is that I have a plane, and below the plane I just added a UV sphere to see if we can see something through the material or not. So if I look at the material right now and select the plane, we can't see a thing of the sphere because we don't have any transparency, so we don't have any alpha in this. If we are looking at the principal BSDF, you have something called alpha. So if that is 1, you can't see through the material. But if that is 0, you see everything through the material. So now you can see the sphere very clearly and you can't see anything from the material. So then you can change this, of course, and you can see then less and less of the material here. Remember now that what I show now is in cycles. It works differently in Eevee, and I will go through Eevee as well in these 5 minutes because it's rather simple to understand this with transparency. So let's add a noise texture. So Shift A, and then I go to texture and select the noise texture. Then I connect that to something here, object or UV, and take the factor to the alpha. And now we can see that we have some parts that are see-through and some that are not, because it changes between 0 and 1. And we can also add something like less than, bigger than, or greater than here. So if I press Shift A again, and go to converter and math and change this to like a less than, you can see now that we can have it totally non-see-through, opaque value, or we can see through. So here you can see, depending on the threshold, you can then see more or less. You can also see that we have the shadows from those things that are opaque, meaning visible up here, on the sphere down here. So that is how it works. So as soon as you put something in alpha that is 0, you will have transparency. However, if I now go to Eevee, change my render engine, still I am in the render view here. It could be like I have not changed this. Okay, you will normally have a setting that looks like this when you come in here, and that means that you have everything in alpha and you should see below here, but in Eevee you need to do something more, and that is by pressing N you get this menu, you go to options, and here you have something called blend mode. And if you have a blend mode opaque, that means that you will have no transparency whatsoever. Even if I put this alpha to 0 like this, nothing will happen. You will have no transparency. So you need to add something more into this, and that is the blend mode. And you can change that in different ways. So you can have something called alpha clip. And alpha clip is either 0 or 1, meaning you don't have anything between. But you can change when it should clip. So by changing the clip threshold here, you can then get more or you can get less of the clipping before something happens here. And I can take away the less than so you can see what happens. So I take away this one. Now you can see everything is transparent. But if I take down the clip threshold, you can see that you get more and more opaque. So, but you have nothing that is like let's say between 0 and 1, always 0 and 1. And you can also see the shadow. It's very, very dark, and that is the shadow mode. It doesn't see the transparency. If you change it to alpha clip, it will see the transparency and you get shadows only as you get in cycles. You can also change it to be an alpha hashed, and then it's very blurry, because alpha hashed, which we can select also as the shadow mode or blend mode, is a noise that we add above to make it more smooth. It's still 1 or 0, but since we have the noise, it doesn't look like 1 or 0. It has a lot of different values that it puts on every pixel. So it could be 0, 1, and 1, and 1, and on another one. And then we get this grayscale. And then finally we also have on the top one alpha blend, which is more like something in between. So here's the softer, you can get all the values that you want in a good way. So that is what you need to know about this. You use blend mode and you use shadow mode, but other than that, just use 0 or 1 in the alpha as you do in Cycles. Okay, then you know a little bit about alpha as well, or transparency, and my 5 minutes has gone, so I just say bye for now and see you tomorrow.